Hello, Josh, Clearing Waivers podcast, coming at you another week in the tank. Joining me as usual, Brian. Brian, how was your week?
It was great, but what I'm most excited about is a lot of our listeners are going to get introduced to Craig Stout from Arrowhead Pride. Great dude. You and I have been following along for years. He was kind enough to come on the podcast and talk to you and me, and he knows a lot of stuff about football and the Chiefs specifically, but he does a great job dumbing it down for us dum-dums.
Yep.
And not talking in total geek talk the whole time. So I'm just thrilled to kind of introduce him to a lot of our listeners.
Yeah, it was a big deal for us. I mean, we're not a usual, not a high-profile podcast by any means, and Craig was awesome to give us his time, but you're always worried about kind of how, like, we're not interviewers. We're just two dummies that drink sometimes. So it was really, really kind of nerve-wracking going into it, and I wasn't really sure how I was going to go. I don't know Craig personally, but boy, it was awesome. He was a great interview.
Great dude.
So you'll catch some of that coming up. We'll do that. We'll clear some waivers a little bit, and then we'll get to the interview. But, yeah, we'll kind of look forward to that. Also joining me this week is Rance again. Rance, how was your week, man?
Good. Things are going good. Getting ready to head out Thursday to the lake for a little guys golf trip. So we're going to be playing some golf Friday, Saturday, and Sunday down at the Ozarks. So pretty excited about that. I mean, I've already got my bag packed and ready to go. And I'm out.
It's Tuesday night.
I like to be prepared.
Never know.
It's like a kid. You got the excitement of a kid who's just ready
Pretty
to
giddy
go.
about it.
Yep.
Something I look forward to every year. So we'll get down there Thursday and swim and drink and then play golf for 3 straight days and cook out. So it's going to be a good time.
Yet another time you're going to the lake, and I have yet to have gone to the lake this summer. So super, super jealous over here. Also joining me again this week, per usual, is Kitty. Kitty, how was your week?
I had a good one. We did a little 36 holes of golf on Saturday. We were going to do it in Topeka, but the place we were going to was the old casino up north of Topeka at Firekeeper, which you couldn't drink in this casino at this point with the COVID. So kind of like, what's the point of going into the casino if you can't drink? So we just stayed in town and played a bunch of golf this weekend.
And drank out in the parking lot of the casino.
Yeah, that's basically, but then part of the reason to go to the casino is because you want to gamble. So it just kind of all fell apart pretty quick there for us because it was looking okay a few weeks back. But then, some of the spikes hit. So then we got to make a quick change, but worked out pretty well for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, 36 holes of golf is not nothing.
No, it was fun. It's a good day.
Nice. You must be one flexible son of a bitch. You golf more than I.
Nice and limber.
Yeah.
Nice and limber.
I believe I like to describe myself as a natural athlete.
Okay.
So it's just pretty nothing.
Could anyone else do that?
I've yet to hear it from somebody else, but I mean, I know I can feel them thinking it.
I kind of did just now.
You just said I'm more limber or anything, so I don't know. I should
Natural
probably stretch more.
Born athlete.
Tomato,
right.
tomato.
Some people just have it.
True. Well, I do appreciate all three of you guys joining me again this week, and appreciate all the viewers and listeners joining me as well. We're having a lot of fun here, and we hope to continue to do so. Keep getting great guests like Craig Stout to come talk to us and kind of keep the ball rolling, keep the momentum going. Last week we had the fake net, who was also awesome, fit right in. I mean, we kind of got into the gutter a little bit, but I mean, that's not necessarily off limits for us. So, yeah, we got a couple of great interviews the last couple of weeks, and now we get to look forward to sports. I mean, we got 2 weeks away from one of the greatest sporting weeks of all time, with baseball starting up, and then shortly after that is NBA. Shortly after that is hockey, I believe, is just after the NBA, and then we're about a month away from the first week of college football, and all of that is kind of asterisks because none of us are really going to know what next week brings, let alone a month from now. So we're all going to keep our fingers crossed, hope for the best, and we're going to kind of talk about a little bit about that in the Clearing the Waivers. We're also going to get into that amazing news that we caught this afternoon. naturally we asked Craig Stout about the Chris Jones situation. He got his prediction on the record, and then the day we're going to air it is the whole situation changed. He signed an extension today, kind of keeping him in the Chiefs uniform for a while. So we'll talk a little bit about that here in a little bit, but then we'll kind of get into a few shenanigans per usual. But let's just get right into it. Clear the waivers here with the Chris Jones situation. Brian, I want to get your take on this. 4-year deal, $85 million with $60 million guaranteed. I kept seeing a lot of different reactions to the deal, but scale of 1 to 10, where were you at when this news was announced?
I mean, it's 10 unless I can go over that. It's super exciting because all we heard all offseason was, yes, the Chiefs are saying we want to re-sign him. He's saying he wants to stay here, but there's just no money there. The money's not there. They're going to trade off their asset after they get their franchise tag year out of him, which he was expected to sit out potentially. So to get him under a deal like this is just a super exciting move. You take that kind of black cloud from over the season, starting with a guy that's unhappy with his deal, playing on the franchise tag. You completely eliminate that. It's all sunshine now. I mean,
yep.
You're keeping a blue chip player. And when you talk to NFL guys, you listen to smart guys like Bucky Brooks, if you listen to podcasts from those guys, they talk about Super Bowl contenders, looking at your roster and picking out how many blue chip players do you have on that roster. Chris Jones is 100% a blue chip player, and you're keeping him. Whereas we talked about what his trade value might be, and you're talking about a Buckner comparison. They got, 13th pick or something for him.
Yep.
There's no guarantees that guy's going to be a blue chip player. Certainly no guarantees it's going to happen immediately. This team's ready to keep winning right now. So to keep him in the fold, happy, you keep this core together, the window is wide open for the next 2 years plus potentially.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what it also has shown us is right now we've got a core 4 guys that they're talking about 2 years beyond, because that's 2-year window. He did a lot of nice things to the team to help it cap friendly for the next couple of years. So the core is even bigger for the next 2 years. Other guys can make their money. He's not going to count that much against cap. Right now we've got Pat, Tyreek, Frank Clark, Chris Jones signed up 2 years beyond as we're talking about the big blue chip guys. Where this is going to be decision time beyond that, when you start talking about running out of money to sign these guys to extensions and a longer deal, you're talking about making decisions amongst guys like Honey Badger, Travis Kelce, Eric Fisher, Mitchell Schwartz, Sammy Watkins. Those guys are all among the best at their position. And we, as much as we'd all love to keep them beyond 2 years from now, 2 years is basically the window that we have all these guys. And then there's going to be decision time, and there's just not going to be enough money. And some of those guys are just not going to be able to continue forward. So that's why this is so huge now, is he worked his contract. Brett Veach did a great job making this happen, by the way, working with his agents. They made this very team-friendly for these next 2 years to keep all these guys together so we can try to win a couple more championships and then see what happens after that.
Yep. You mentioned Tyreek was part of that core 4. His deal's done after 2022. So, I mean, you got 2021 and 22 with him. And then after that, I mean, he very well could be wide receiver 1 in the league at that point.
Right.
He'll be 29, I believe, when he got to that point. So that could get you a little bit of discount. Being with Pat Mahomes, sure as hell, will make it look a lot better. But I'm really curious. Yeah, that 2 to 3 year window is probably pretty close. And the one thing that you kind of pointed out was the fact that this probably costs them, I'm going to say Honey Badger, which I love, but I was shocked that they got an extension done with Chris Jones, and I would love it if they figured out something with Tyrann Mathieu.
I agree, but you've also got to look at those tackles, the bookends.
Yes.
Both guys are going to need to get paid because they've been great for Mahomes. And when you have Frank Clark and Chris Jones locked up now, you got to come back to that offense and say, okay, we got to take care of number 1. And we're taking care of his weapons with Tyreek, and Travis signed a deal before Mahomes did. But those 2 tackles are huge importance to this team, and keeping him upright is going to be, I think, where the rest of this money goes, is back towards supporting Mahomes, if I had to guess. So like you said, I think we probably are looking at Honey Badger either taking a huge cap drop in his salary and staying here just because he loves to win and play with his team, or he gets paid by somebody else. I'd say that's probably the likely scenario.
Yeah. The other part of that, they could potentially spend some more draft capital, but they did pick Mitchell Schwartz off of, I wouldn't say the trash heap, but it wasn't necessarily, I mean, coming in being like the strong Mitch Schwartz that we know now. So
I agree.
Hopefully they could continue that luck and keep finding guys that can do that and kind of find some some quality players out on the free agent market, and as well as draft some guys, develop some guys. They always seem to be able to develop some offensive linemen to overachieve, really. And Pat's gonna bump up anybody, make anybody look good just because he's that good. Andy Reid's going to do the same. So,
well, that's Andy Reid's strength is to make offensive linemen look better than they were in other places, and he can coach them up. And like you said, we've got that 2 years to where if you're filling in a tackle from the second round or third round, we got the Niang kid from TCU. They drafted a tackle this year that's kind of a developmental guy. So maybe they're already working on those replacement pieces. But I think that's what you're going to start seeing more investment is probably on the offensive side now that they've got those two dominant defensive linemen locked up. Because Hitchens is making quite a bit of money too. I don't know if his large cap hit survives the full contract. He may be cut after a year or two, but
Damon Wilson also making quite a bit of money.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, we're looking at a 2 to 3 year window, but at this point, I'll take it. Let the good times roll. Let's keep rolling. And speaking of keeping rolling, let's get to that Craig Stout interview. You can find him at Barley Hop on Twitter. Go find his work at Arrowhead Pride. We'll talk a little bit more about the Chris Jones situation as well as some other fun stuff. But yeah, let's go to that. Hey, everybody. We have a special guest with us tonight. Joining us, talk a little Chiefs. We got writer / defensive guru from over at Arrowhead Pride, also co-host of the AP Laboratory Arrowhead Pride podcast. We got Mr. Craig Stout. Craig, thank you very much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. Ecstatic to have the AP Renaissance Man, a.k.a. the Hollywood Hop, a.k.a. at Barley Hop on Twitter, on the show this week. Thanks for joining us, man.
See, here's the thing. First of all, thank you guys for having me on. Second of all, when I'm on my podcast, the great overlords at SB Nation require us to be clean, but I don't have to be clean on this podcast. But you're going to come at me with that shit here with all of these nicknames.
We got to butter that bread, baby.
Yeah, see how it is. Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm excited to be on.
It kind of caught me by surprise that training camp is right up on us, especially with the Chiefs starting early this year. So we've been wearing our Royals hats for the last few weeks to cover our quarantine haircuts or lack thereof. So as our viewers can see, we have switched to the Chiefs hats and we're ready to talk Chiefs with Craig Stout. So I guess, at the top of everything that Chiefs anymore is that beautiful, beautiful Pat Mahomes extension. I know when we saw it, we were absolutely ecstatic. He signed through the 2031 season for just under $500 million. Your new episode of the podcast was breaking down the contract situation, which thank you very much for doing, because I am lost in all that stuff. So,
oh man, me too, man. That's it, trust me. Our buddy Chief Bearcat that we had on to break it down, who is a banker and lives in numbers, that's what he does. I live in numbers too for my job, but not in the way that he does.
Not that, yeah.
No, I am constantly bugging him about cap questions, structure questions, stuff like that. So yeah, we were ecstatic to have him on just to find out some of that information from him.
Yep. So I'd highly recommend everybody, all of our listeners and viewers, to go check that podcast out, AP Laboratory, this last week. But we wanted to get your thoughts. Really wanted to get you a scale of 1 to 10 where you were at when you saw that news break. It kind of, I don't know, for us, it kind of slowly rolled out, and it was kind of teased, kind of poked at, and he was like, well, is it gonna? It's like, and then when it happened, we were pumped. So 1 to 10, where were you?
15.
Yep.
Just ecstatic. We had actually, to let you in a little bit behind the curtain here, we'd actually heard some rumors the night before that maybe something was happening. And then Katie Cam on Twitter was the person that broke the news saying that a Chiefs organization member had come in and gotten some bottles of champagne. So that was kind of the confirmation, because the rumor that we heard wasn't from an especially reliable source. So yeah, we hear stuff all the time, here and there. People come to us with all kinds of random information. But yeah, when we saw that, we went, oh man, it's actually happening today. And a 10-year extension. It's unbelievable to me. You guys are both baseball guys, big baseball guys. That is baseball money. That's a baseball contract. We don't see that in the NFL anymore. And then for the Chiefs not to have to give up a percentage of the cap, which is kind of what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, everybody thought that.
I mean, I think even when we heard 10 years, I think everybody went, oh, well, the only way that makes sense for Mahomes is percentage, because why would you give up extra money?
That
and
much your career.
And it wasn't. And here in 4 years, it's going to look cheap, probably. Well, cheap is a relative term. But, it's going to look cheaper than it does now.
Yeah. You guys made the great point on the podcast. Like, this really pushed the pressure on the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans and the Baltimore Ravens. And unless they take some kind of team-friendly deal like Pat did, I mean, you're going to hamstring those even indirectly.
Yeah, I believe Therese Paylor and Charles Robinson on the Yahoo Sports NFL podcast brought up, if Lamar Jackson wins a Super Bowl next year, guess how much he's going to cost? More than Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
And I mean, it's just you have now made the criteria. You've set it in stone there. You've got a young quarterback, an MVP, and a Super Bowl. You do that, you get $500 million. Just period. That's all it is anymore. And you can't argue that. So if Dak has a great year, you've got to get close to that. If if Lamar has a great year, you got to get close to that. So it just drives it all up. And as a Chiefs fan, as a member of the organization, for those guys in the front office there, you have to be looking at that and looking around the league and knowing that you have the best one of those. So anybody who has to pay more than that is just a benefit for the Chiefs.
Yep. So we kind of wax poetic on that a little bit last week. So we'll kind of move on to your expertise, and you're not fully Chiefs, but you kind of do focus a little bit more on the Chiefs defense, especially. Great work with your analysis of the defense the last few years, and what an example it has been to try to break down between the 2018 and 2019 defense. And I mean, you could probably chalk it up to a lot of things, but I wanted you to kind of point out what to you was the primary difference maker between I pulled up the 2018 by DVOA was 17th best defense, 31st in passing yards allowed, 27th in rushing yards allowed, 24th in yards per play allowed. Fast forward to 2019, move up to 14th best per DVOA, 8th best in passing yards allowed, 26th in rushing yards, and 13th in yards allowed. What was the difference maker there, primarily?
I mean, leadership. And it's not just Bob Sutton. I can point at the locker room as well. Listen, Eric Berry and Justin Houston were they're going to be all-timer Chiefs. They're going to get brought up a lot. Eric Berry and Justin Houston don't have the same impact on the locker room that Tyrann Mathieu does, that Frank does.
I love him.
It's a completely different mentality shift. And then Spagnuolo, obviously, is a completely different mentality shift than Bob Sutton there. But I think that's really what the key was, because the Chiefs defense didn't start particularly well. They were still learning everything this year. But in order to tweak things, in order to stay dialed in order to really kind of transition and overcome some of the things that they had to this last season, they needed the defense to step up. They needed more of an edge. And frankly, all the Bob Sutton defenses would just roll over and die. When the going got rough, Bob stopped. That's kind of the way that it was. And you got to see some of that from the locker room perspective as well. They were good players. They had lots of talent, but it wasn't that kind of edge, that steel edge there that was able to be resilient and step up when it needed to. And you kind of got to see that this year, that it was.
That's the number one thing, I think, especially with Frank Clark. And I know Tyrann Mathieu did too, but they both came in with chips, baby. It was like at the minute they hit the door, they're like, all right, we're here to do one thing. We're kicking ass and chew bubble gum. And we didn't pack any bubble gum.
Frank Clark is already almost one of my all-time favorite Chiefs.
Absolutely.
I oh my
The swagger level is off the charts.
And he backs it up. That's
Yes,
the part that
He's a bad
love.
motherfucker.
It's him reacting to James Palmer is still one of my most favorite things. After the AFC Championship game, and James Palmer comes to him and says, "Hey, you know, some people doubted that you were going to be able to back up your words," and he just, who, you know, and on him, and the man means what he says. And he's going to walk the walk. Like, plenty of guys talk. He walks it.
Yep.
And he walks it all the time.
Yep.
And we know a couple people within the organization that are lucky enough to hear some of the mic'd up segments.
Yeah.
You know, we don't get any real information. We get fun information like
this.
yeah.
Yep. That'd be a blast.
Yeah, when Frank's mic'd up, they get to use like 10%. Like
that's right.
It's when you see Frank Clark mic'd up segments, it's a very reduced capacity of what they captured. But I get to hear, I don't actually get to hear what it is, but I get to hear from the people who get to listen to it that it is very entertaining.
I bet that's true.
For the entire game. And it's so fun to have guys like that on this defense to cover after, you know, covering this team for as long as I have and watching the Bob Sutton defenses, watching the Romeo Cornell defenses, the Clancy Pendergast defense.
Ooh,
just
there's
rough.
a name I forgot about completely.
Oh, yeah. Real rough to cover those. So, yeah, getting to cover Spagnuolo that's as adaptable and these players that are, frankly, more fun to cover, it's really nice.
Yeah, I bet.
And that's kind of what I want to get into next. We saw the changes from 18 to 19. They flushed the turd known as Bob Sutton. They painfully get rid of some of our heroes, and a lot of Chiefs fans are like, what the hell are they doing? They're blowing this up. This was their chance. They bring in these new pieces. They bring in Spagnuolo, and it started us out at first kind of rocky. And in the first quarter of the year, everyone's kind of looking around like, I thought we were supposed to be better on defense this year by default, and it wasn't. But then as the year goes on, what kind of changes did you see? Was it just continuity? Was it just getting to know each other? Or did you see like a personnel approach change?
It was a little bit of both, actually. I do believe that Spagnuolo hadn't fully implemented everything yet. I think that they were still kind of feeling each other out a little bit. You know, they had the full training camp and everything like that, but there were pieces that got added kind of late in the situation. Darren Lee is the one that comes to mind the most. He was added kind of late in this whole thing. Yeah. And after the Houston game, he missed a couple tackles. Steve Spagnuolo said, no, we gotta make a shift. We got to make a change. This isn't working. Kendall Fuller got hurt. Kendall Fuller was their slot corner. Before that, Tyrann Mathieu was primarily playing in the back and in a robber role as a safety there. And then all of a sudden, they moved Tyrann Mathieu up into the slot. They bring Damian Williams over to that will linebacker role and Reggie Ragland in to set a hard edge against the run, and you started to see some of these things clicking. Mathieu being closer to the ball, Mathieu being near the box allowed him and Steve Spagnuolo to do some more exotic looks, drop him into places the quarterbacks weren't expecting, and then naturally just the defense grew. Juan Thornhill saw this of the game. He got faster, and Charvarius Ward and Bashad Breeland understood the coverage calls better. It just kind of slowly melded together at the same time that Frank Clark got healthy. And when that happened, all of a sudden, you know, these offenses that were trying to avoid him a little bit couldn't avoid him anymore. And he was a destructive force at the end of the year there. It was kind of something that just came together fully. You know, if you look after that Houston game, coming off the bye, this is week 11 through the end of the year, the stretch that they won, you know, had a winning streak, didn't lose at all. You watch the way that defense played. It's a cohesive unit. They were all on the same page, and they're all executing at a higher level than their talent levels combined. Like, because they have some spots that they were lacking talent in. The cornerback group still amazes me. Like, it really does. They have not invested anything in a position that most teams invest heavily in. And they won a Super Bowl with it, and they played well with it. So I think it really just was an amalgamation of Spagnuolo getting better and understanding the personnel and everybody just coming together and playing better.
Sure seemed like, I think from our naked eye perspective, it seemed like after that Tennessee game where Tannehill broke 3 tackles from 3, like Matthew was right there, Frank Clark was right there, and then I think he put Sorensen on his ass. I can't remember who was, or it may have been not
Rashad
Sorensen.
Fenton. Who else was up there? Gosh, it's so long ago.
Neiman, I think, was the guy trying to bring him down, and he ran over him. But it just seemed like it was I mean, the Clearing Waivers podcast did call that defense out that week, so I mean, surely they heard us.
Yeah, totally.
It was definitely you guys.
It was us. Yeah.
No. I was going to say that the Arrowhead Pride website, the defense guy also did, but no, it was definitely the Clearing Waivers podcast.
I mean, they probably could hear me yelling from my basement. I was pretty fired up after the game. I'm sure you guys were just right there with us. But
yeah,
I guess to kind of address that, and it kind of goes back to what you're kind of saying with other teams investing, draft capital or free agent money into that secondary. Everybody would seem to be saying that pre-draft. Personally, I was screaming for a linebacker. I know you were. I know you were definitely into the secondary, wanting to upgrade that, but they did go out and spend a 2nd-round pick, correct, on Willie Gay.
Yep.
Correct.
And listening to you and Ken Swanson reaction to it the day after, you made a very interesting comp that I'm going to need every sink pisser from the Clearing Waivers podcast to stop what they're doing and listen to who Craig Stout and Arrowhead Pride compared Willie Gay Jr. to.
Derek Johnson.
Yeah!
I compared him to DJ, who is an all-time favorite of mine.
Absolutely.
I love DJ. It's the only player jersey that I own from the Chiefs. I own lots of other Chiefs swag. I only bought one jersey.
DJ.
And I loved DJ, and DJ had the knack for slipping a block and knifing into the backfield. That was what he was best at. I coined the term DJ special in like 2010. And it lived for a little while and then died when DJ started sucking. But his ability to kind of contort his body and slip through the block, knife into the backfield, and make a play was phenomenal. That was one of the best things that he could do. He was also a supreme athlete that could cover. That's what Willie Gay is. He's a supreme athlete. He can cover, and his body control is phenomenal. When I watched Mississippi State games last year, he had limited reps because he had plenty of off-field stuff and lots of suspensions, and he cheated on tests and punched his quarterback in the face. And trust me, guys, I know it sounds bad, but maybe the quarterback deserved it.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. But his ability to do that same thing was uncanny. And I remember one of our other guys that writes the AP draft guide with us every single year. He was watching it as a secondary grade, and he bounced into the chat that we have, and he said, "Okay, so I'm watching Willie Gay Jr." I said, "Yeah, okay, what do you think?" And he said, "You know who he reminds me of?" And I just responded immediately with, and he had seen my comp, and I said, "Derek Johnson." He said, "Yes, that's exactly who he reminds me of." So it wasn't just me. It was several of us.
Goosebumps right now, Craig.
Seriously. Now, I'm not promising that he's going to
no. You stop right there. He's going to be Derek Johnson. I don't need anything else. No caveats, no qualifiers.
Buying another jersey. That's right. I wanted him to buy 56 off of Ben Neiman just so I could, restitch that jersey.
Yeah.
But no, I am very excited about Willie Gay. I'm very excited to see what he's going to do. I think they're going to start him at the Sam linebacker and transition him to Will. I believe that he will be playing Will linebacker by the end of the year. But for now, they're going to have him kind of adjust to the speed of the game. He's smart, but he needs to see it. That's kind of the thing. Once he's seen it before, he's locked in. We saw him throughout the year kind of grow as a player with his instincts. If he saw a team try and do something for the second time in a game, he'd blow it up. He was all over it, but he needed to see it. And the first time that they did it, he did about the opposite of seeing it that you could do. It wasn't pretty. And so that's kind of why he fell to where he was, because it's going to require some growth. It's going to require some teaching, but the Chiefs have a great linebackers coach in Matt House. So I feel like he's in really good hands, and they're going to bring him along at the speed that he needs to be brought along. But once he gets there, I think we're going to see kind of a Juan Thornhill-esque contribution to the defense, the way that Juan kind of came along at the end of last year, and everybody noticed all of a sudden. It was like, oh shit, this kid is going to be a star. I have a feeling we're going to see that out of Willie Gay.
And I have a feeling, you talk about seeing things, we have a guy that might be playing pretty close to him that's too smart.
Yeah.
He knows what's coming. If he tells him where to go before the snap, he may not need to see it once. He may just be a missile.
And on top of that, not only Tyrann Mathieu, but Anthony Hitchens, for all the derision that we have about him while the ball is snapped and what he's doing on the field, it's not particularly great. What he does pre-snap is phenomenal. That's why he's on the field. Steve Spagnuolo trusts him to get everybody lined up, get everybody in the right gaps, everything like that. Hitchens is going to help Willie Gay perform as well as he can. And then we'll kind of see where his star takes him after that. If he can kind of adopt some of those same habits that Hitchens has in the film room, that would be phenomenal, because then all of a sudden you've got the athletic traits and you've got the, the mental side of it as well. Ooh, buddy. That'd be fun. Be fun.
Something I've missed in this defense.
Well, I remember when DJ came out and we took him in mid-first round, it seemed like the only criticism they had was, can he get off a block? And it seemed like he quickly answered that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a similar thing for me. One of my biggest knocks on Willie Gay Jr. is that he gets stuck on blocks when he's on there. He just needs help. I've said this before, but a lot of these Mississippi State guys that are coming out in the draft don't necessarily have the coaching that the NFL wants out of them. Montez Sweat, Jonathan Abram, guys that came out last year that people looked at and went, well, yeah, they're athletes and they're super athletes, but are they smart? Are they able to do all this? And then Abram started the year for the Raiders on a streak. Montez was good for Washington last year. So, I mean, they end up having a lot of these guys that have a lot of question marks about them at Mississippi State, and they almost all translate into the NFL. So I just fully expect that Willie Gay is going to kind of funnel into that same grouping as they are.
All right, let's move along to the ultimate question mark coming in for me. I may be the last person in Kansas City that still thinks about this guy. Before him, there was Capassignon that the Chiefs fans have kind of gave up on. They said, well, they brought him in as a raw guy. He's not going to be a player for us. And then all of a sudden this year, he's making contributions for the defense. And we kind of gave up on Breland Speaks, I think, at this point. And when they brought in Suggs in midseason, I threw out the dumb brain idea of maybe Suggs shows us what kind of player Breland Speaks can be, because he doesn't have that explosive step anymore, but he's still strong as an ox, and he's going to set an edge. Maybe he'll give us a peek of what Speaks can provide for this defense. Is there any chance this guy's a contributor for this defense?
That is the billion-dollar question. I mean, the funny part is, if you look back at the 2018 draft, there's not much redeemable about it. Derek Nottie is it.
I love Derek Nottie.
I love Derek Nottie as well. I am one of we can be presidents of the Derek Nottie fan club. I mean, I love nose tackles, but
make sure it's Derek Nottie fan. Got it.
Yeah, got it. I'll buy it.
Yep.
We'll work that out. Yeah.
Deal. Co-presidents.
He's really the only redeemable part if Breland Speaks doesn't contribute and take that next step. Breland Speaks was always miscast as a 3-4 outside linebacker. He can't drop into coverage. He is not a fluid mover, and he's not explosive. That's kind of a requirement for a 3-4 outside linebacker. When you think of guys like Justin Houston, who is strong, but is an athlete, Dee Ford, who is an athlete, these guys that have this lightning quick first step and can drop into coverage as well. Breland Speaks, you never wanted to drop in coverage. Like, what? He moves like a bus a little. And that's fine. You just don't play him there. Yeah, he did. When we saw Breland Speaks at training camp last year, the Chiefs were trying him out at defensive end and they were trying him out at defensive tackle. And frankly, one of those positions he looked good at, and it was inside.
Mhm.
I think that's his best chance to really make the roster and contribute in that regard. Yes, Terrell Suggs plays that sort of game. And I do think that had they not made any other additions, that they would give Breland Speaks a chance to play defensive end. But I think Taco Charlton fits Steve Spagnuolo a little bit better. Tano Passigno, as you said, really came on last year.
Yeah,
I
he
think
did.
we expect a lot out of him in a contract year. You got Alex Okafor coming back from injury, and you got Frank Clark. Like, those are 4 guys right there
Solid.
before you even talk about Mike Dana, that Brendan Daly, the defensive line coach, loves and is
Yep.
going to get time. So Breland Speaks would be the 6th guy. When you look inside, there's not a ton of pass rushers behind Chris Jones. Colin
Mhm.
Saunders can a little bit. Derek Nottie is more of a run stuffer. Mike Pennell is more of a run stuffer. Breland Speaks has the kind of build, this stockier shoulder build. You look at these defensive ends that are all long, ropey. You know, that's kind of what Steve Spagnuolo looks at. And then when you see Breland Speaks next to him, he just doesn't look like part of that
It's a
group.
brick shit house.
Yes, he is. He absolutely is. And he's strong as fuck.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's one of those situations where you line him up inside against a guard. He's got enough length. He's got the build, you know, to be able to take the brunt of everything up top. And you can have him kind of penetrate, shoot, use that bull rush, because that's what he's got in his arsenal, is a good bull rush. And that's about it.
Yep.
And so you don't want that guy on the outside that's just bull rushing the tackle, because the longest way to the quarterback is going through
Through
an
the tackle.
offensive tackle. It works when you're going through a guard. You know, that's a much shorter distance. So put Breland Speaks on the inside, and I think that he can make this roster and potentially contribute. Now, that being said, Breland Speaks post a workout picture last week, and he looks slim.
Yep.
So by comparison, he looks slim. Steve Spagnuolo doesn't like really defensive tackles that play under 300 pounds. I don't think Breland Speaks is above 300 pounds anymore. I think maybe he was last year. I don't think he is this year. So it will be very curious to see where he slots in, but I personally would line him up inside and let him wreak havoc.
I love that. And he could also possibly be a replacement for somebody that's just
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of D linemen that play under the 300, not that Breland Speaks is going to be on his level, but Chris Jones has been the next after the extension. He was the topic up to the extension, and then the extension happened, and then since the extension happened, it's been still more Chris Jones. So
everyone's like, don't care about Chris Jones
Yeah.
anymore.
As somebody who does a Chiefs podcast, it's really nice because, I mean, not that I dislike talking about Chris Jones, but it has been everything we've talked about since the draft, basically. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, yeah, we can kind of start. I mean, last week, Mike Garafolo said the Chiefs do not think that Chris Jones is a $20 million man. Chris Jones thinks he is. He's obviously on the franchise cap for $16 million this year. They can franchise him again for, what is it, 17 and change next season if it comes to them? 19. Okay. So still not quite the 20 mil, but getting more expensive. But you guys have talked endlessly, like you said. We've seen extension talk. We've seen potential trade talk. We've seen 1-for-1 with Jamal Adams talk. It seems like that's kind of getting some more legs. But Jones is now talking about sitting out until, week 10 or so, similar to the Le'Veon Bell situation. Maybe not the most great example to follow. But I mean, you guys kind of covered the spectrum. I think it was Kent that kind of, or it may have been Matty Lane that mentioned the DeForest Buckner trade.
Yes.
Kind of just was an absolute bomb in that market, because it seems like it was feasible to think that that's something the Chiefs could have got. Maybe not AFC trade. Maybe that was a factor into it. Maybe it was just never brought to him. But he was traded for the 14th overall pick, then immediately signed for 5 years, $84 million or $37 million guaranteed. So, I mean, that can't be on the table now, right?
No, I don't think that. I really don't think that that's on the table. It's something to be said. Chris Ballard knows Chris Jones.
Yep.
Like, he was a part of drafting
Yep.
Jones. He was here with Chris Jones. He knows Chris Jones. they wanted DeForest Buckner, period. I mean, whether or not they thought that Chris Jones couldn't do some of the things that they were asking for, or they wanted a specific type of player that was, more stout against the run. Chris Jones, while, isn't the most stout against the run, is more of a splash kind of player.
Oh, yeah.
He's more of a boomer bust. If they wanted somebody like DeForest Buckner that's a little more consistent but doesn't have the highs that Chris Jones has, maybe that's all it was. We were shocked when we saw the 13th overall pick. All of a sudden, it was like, oh, okay, well, we've been spending the past month talking about Chris Jones trade scenarios and saying, well, maybe we'd accept a high second round pick, like a high fourth, something, in there.
Maybe a second and a fifth, depending on where we are.
Something like that. And then all of a sudden that happens and it's shit. Well,
yep.
I mean, because if you're the Chiefs, now all of a sudden, if you get less than that, everybody's mad.
It's a Marcus Peters situation.
Yeah, exactly. As mad as they're going to be after you win a Super Bowl.
Right.
He's earned the but everybody's going to be upset with the compensation in that, much like Marcus Peters, like you said. But that being said, the Colts didn't want him. The Colts didn't want that situation. Now, some people may say that the Chiefs didn't want to trade him there, whatever the case may be. I think that Chris Jones is going to play on the tag this year. I don't know how much. I think it might be a situation where he shows up for week 10. And I've said on our podcast a couple of times that I am fine with that. Like, if you just want to pay from week 10 through the Super Bowl and have peak Chris Jones that's not
healthy,
dinged up earlier in the year, give it to me. That's fine. And then tag him and trade him before the draft next year and just take what you can get. Because if you win another Super Bowl and you basically made your point in saying, we are tagging you and you are going to play on the tag, now go make your money. Like, he is deserving of the kind of money that he's 100%. Asking for. The Chiefs just aren't going to pay it to him. They made it abundantly clear. So I think
it is what it is. I mean,
it is. And I think that this is just going to be a situation where both sides are going to part after the season. So if you're a Chris Jones fan, enjoy this one because this might be the last.
Right. And that kind of brings up another point. I recently saw some Sammy Watkins quotes where he said basically, I got enough money. My family's taken care of. I like winning. I like winning's fun. And I think when you see Patrick Mahomes locked up for the next 12 years, I think you're going to get really good guys that have that same mindset. And there's going to be guys along the way that say, that's nice and all, but I want my money. And they're going to go get it elsewhere. It's just really encouraging. Like I became a much bigger Sammy Watkins fan when I saw those quotes. It got me pumped up about it.
Sammy Watkins is a weird cat.
Yes, he is.
Sure, undeniable.
To each their own, do your thing. But Sammy Watkins loves it in Kansas City. He genuinely loves it in Kansas City. And part of that is Patrick Mahomes. Part of that is Andy Reid. And, he's getting paid this season. I mean, even though he's talking about how, it's not about money, he's still getting paid this season.
Sure.
But let's see what happens after the season.
Yeah.
Like, let's see. We may see another Sammy deal. Like, because he genuinely loves Kansas City. And most people's problems with Sammy Watkins are he's not available and he's getting paid too much. Well, not getting paid too much and he's available for the stretch. If you get playoff Sammy Watkins every playoffs, pay him $50 million. I don't care. Like that man torched Richard Sherman.
If he can do,
one of the best cornerback seasons in the league last year. He torched him. So give me that guy.
Right.
If you're rocking a core of Sammy Watkins, McCole Hardman, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce underneath, Clyde Edwards-Helaire rolling out of the back. I mean, geez. I mean, we saw one of the best defenses. Right, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you mentioned Clyde, and going into the draft, we talked about all these draft analysts. Everyone's giving us a running back. Everybody's giving us a running back. We're like, Brett Beach is not taking a running back. We're getting a defensive linebacker. We're getting a corner. We're getting something else. We're not getting a running back. That being said, I told Josh, if that pick pops up and we get the top running back on the board, I'm going to be really excited. How did you feel when his name was announced?
I was along that same lines. I don't like typically the value of running back in the first round. I don't like all of that. I'm not necessarily to the standpoint of you don't touch them until, the fourth round or something like that. You different guys have different values and stuff like that. I wanted a cornerback. I was a Christian Fulton guy.
Yeah.
I was a Christian Fulton guy in 2018 when he actually returned to school. I wanted him to come out then because I wanted the Chiefs to draft him then. And then he had a better year, his senior year, and came out. So I just wanted the Chiefs to take him at 32, and he was still on the board. I was really excited. And then it was a running back. And now that being said, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the perfect fit for Andy Reid's offense. Like, there is not a better fit at running back than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So that little trepidation was there for about yay long because I remembered watching Clyde and I remembered seeing all the decimation that he did. He has a knack of turning a 3-yard gain into a first down.
Yep.
On 3rd and 7, that little check down swing pass out to the flat with the linebacker chasing him. He'll make that guy miss. He'll make the safety miss. He'll pick up the first down. You extend the drive. You give Patrick Mahomes more opportunities at it. Now all of a sudden, my defense doesn't matter for shit because the offense is scoring more often.
Yep.
So I wanted the corner. I want to upgrade that group. I feel like they put some guys out there that I do like that they drafted, a little bit later. And I do like Willie Gay, but I came around on it really, really quickly. Just to see Mahomes loving it, Andy loving it, the fit, like all of it made way too much sense. So in that regard, I got on board pretty quick.
I'm so excited right now. Just thinking about that offense. Clyde is so much fun to watch.
It's going to be good. We may see a better version of Mahomes or a higher statistical version of Mahomes than we did in 2018.
Absolutely.
It's just hard to even fantasize about something like that.
It is.
Because Kareem Hunt was a bad, like you're talking about a dude that can turn a 3-yard run into a first down. That was Kareem Hunt, man. He was a nasty, nasty guy. So the fact that you're telling me that he could have a better statistical year this year, led the league in rushing, by the way.
Yeah.
No big deal.
And I don't know,
that's just weird to think about.
Lead in rushing.
Sure. Yep.
He may be, I keep putting it, he may be a 1,400 scrimmage yard back.
Whew.
And a 1,400 scrimmage yards back in this offense makes it fucking unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it really does. They put up 35 points a game with, a half year of Kareem Hunt. What are they going to do when they have a whole year of Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
Yep.
Like, it's, oh man.
God, I love it.
And they have a competent defense to go with it. I mean, sky's the limit at this point.
Right.
Right.
The defense is predicated on forcing teams to pass.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Tyrann Mathieu might have double-digit picks this year, guys. I'm just saying.
He had his chances last year.
Oh, he did.
God.
He did.
Somewhere right there.
He'll get him.
Well, we haven't had a ton of guests on this podcast, Craig. I think you are number 4, I believe.
I feel honored.
Yeah, I mean, they always say save the best for 4th, and that's what we're kind of operating under. But
we say that often. Yes.
Yep. They say that. Everybody knows that. But we do always like to kind of get a little bit of a lighter touch to the podcast a little bit. We kind of come out of a lighter, I guess, perspective, most sports topics. So we know that you're a beer guy, beer connoisseur. We did a draft back in December where we drafted the best situational beers. So we've got our picks back in December. Anybody can go check that out. But we wanted to get your top 4 situational beers, not beer brands, but like mowing the yard and then having the beer afterwards is one of the first. I think it was a unanimous pick on ours. But also in your honor, I did open up the Boulevard Worth the Wait beer, Imperial Red Ale. Tasty.
Was it worth the wait?
Very good. I mean, the Super Bowl winning certainly helps the taste.
Yes.
But I think I would like it anyways. But yeah, you shout out Boulevard. Waiting for that sponsorship one of these days.
Hey, you and me both, brother. Yeah.
So what's the 4 situational beers that you would go with?
Okay, going from the bottom here.
Okay.
Just because this is a typical thing for me. Number 4 is my podcast beer.
Oh yeah.
Because there's an art to the podcast beer. Anybody who's not doing a podcast, because you have to speak intelligibly. You can't go too hard at it, but at the same time, it gets you a little loosened up and everything. Like, so that podcast beer just kind of really hits that sweet spot for me. It's a really nice one to do. It leads right into the podcast editing whiskey really seamlessly. So, I mean, it's just a quality one.
Amen.
Then after that, a lake beer or a dock beer.
Oh,
something that you can just drink all day long. Sit out on the dock, know that you're not going to go back up to the house for any reason for 8 hours. You got to have something that you can make last throughout that entire time and still function later on that night.
Sure.
So I love a good lake beer.
What's your go-to for that?
My go-to for that, usually Funkworks Saison.
Okay.
It is not hoppy, so you don't get that grassy mouth feel to it. It's not heavy, so you don't have something, kind of sitting heavy
out in the sun.
Out in the sun. It's got kind of like, it's very crisp. It's got kind of a little bit of a citrusy flavor to it, and it's only 6%. So it actually warms up pretty well. It still tastes good when it's a little bit warm. So
that is key.
Yes, very key for a lake beer there. So I go through a lot of that at the lake.
Okay. I'll check that out.
Tailgate beer is number 2.
Yep.
Tailgate beer is tough. Tailgate beer, you got to have the right balance. And I've actually gotten to the point here. I'm not a big Boulevard guy. I like some of their beers. I don't like a lot of their beers. But Space Camper IPA, for whatever reason, hits the sweet spot on a cold morning in December. Like, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I usually bring my Russian Imperial Stout that I brew, but it's heavy and it'll get you in trouble. So that can radio hits when you have to do pregame radio before that. Do not drink the Russian Imperial Stout. Drink the Space Camper until your radio hit, and then learn that lesson the hard way. So
the Russians are for the post-game shows.
Yeah, absolutely. Celebration ones.
Yep.
For whatever reason, Space Camper has just been the one that's hit the spot, and it's lucky. I've drank it. The playoff game that I didn't drink it at was the Patriots one last year.
Oh, it's your fault.
Goof.
Yeah, it's my fault.
We figured it out.
Not D Ford.
Chiefs Kingdom. We figured out what the problem was.
And then the last one for me is a post-exercise beer. Not necessarily a lawnmower one, but an exercise beer. Nothing beats a run or a hike, like, coming in, having a Dale's Pale Ale. I love.
Oh, that's my favorite pale ale.
Oh my God, I love going on a big long hike, come back to the campsite, putting the feet up in the hammock, drinking a Dale's Pale Ale. Like that is to me the pinnacle of a situational beer right there. I just love it so much. Get to just relax and enjoy the fact that you're not paying for the 6-pack that you're about to drink. you already worked it off.
Yeah.
So
that's how science works.
That is how science works. I know. Yeah.
You're productive. You've got your productivity out of the way. So now it's just sit back and relax. Hammock, baby. The hammock beer certainly adds quite a multiplier on that. I think there were a lot of overlap. I mean, tailgate beer, lake beer. I mean, all those were right on. I mean, they were definitely brought up.
Mowing beer is an excellent one, but I think that comes in there a little bit lower.
It's in there somewhere. Yeah,
we don't work out, so that didn't come up in our draft.
The mowing is the workout, so it's kind of. I mean, it's right there.
Oh well, when you guys get older, you got to work out a little bit more to get rid of that beer.
I mean, if there's a beer sitting on the other end of that string, then I may just have to follow it a little bit.
Hell yeah.
We need to engineer something.
Okay.
That does that with our powers combined.
We can make it, and then we can draw it, and then we can get it to somebody who can actually make it.
and then we can sell the rights to Boulevard.
Oh, here we go.
And there's the sponsorship right
There's
Didn't
the
they-
sponsorship.
Didn't they make something like that called like Easy Sport or something that was supposed to be they were kind of advertising as some kind of
Mhm.
workout beer?
Yeah.
Something. I never
Sounds
tried
right.
it. It
I
sounded
did
terrible.
try it. It wasn't bad. It was light. It was like 4.2%.
Yeah.
There wasn't much to it, but it was fine.
And it was thin. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
thin and light, which is it feels like you mentioned Dale's Pale Ale,
Oh,
and that seems like the most crisp. My favorite beer of all time was the 80 Acre from Boulevard, and they had like the wheat, but it was also the hoppy.
mhm.
Oh, that was my
Summer beer
favorite.
for sure.
Yep, 100%.
I loved that one, but my favorite Boulevard beer ever was Terra Incognita, a combination that they did with Sierra Nevada,
Yep.
Yeah,
and it was a wild ale, and that thing aged wonderfully. I am very sad that in 2013, when they came out with it, that I didn't buy case after case after
all of them.
case of it. Like I would still consume the shit out of that beer. So one of my favorites. They do make good beer, but they make a lot of beers that aren't for me. Like
Yep.
in easy sport. So,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they make all the beers, so I think everybody could literally say that they make good beers, and then they make a lot of not good beers.
and they make quality beers. That's the best part. Yeah.
Well, I think that's all we've got for you. We appreciate the time again. It was awesome to talk to you. We encourage all the sink pissers out there, go check out Craig's work over at Arrowhead Pride. Also, check out that AP Laboratory. It's not a nerd podcast. It is very, very entertaining because there are a lot of nerd sports talks, and then they are fine. But there's something about people that can make nerdy information and turn it into easily consumed, and that's what I think you guys do very, very well.
Well, I appreciate that. That's our goal. It's always to educate, but not to try and beat somebody over the head with terminology. It's never our goal to seem smart, and that's not it. I want people to be able to figure out why Steve Spagnuolo is doing what he's doing, not trying to show I know what he's doing and you don't, or whatever the case may be. That doesn't do anybody any fucking good. So that's what our podcast, that's what our content's all about. Just trying to help, further people's knowledge of the game if they want to learn.
Yep.
And that's why you guys are ahead of the rankings, ahead of Adam Schefter.
Oh,
right.
just for
Podcast
today.
rankings.
It's just for today.
Just for today.
It's just for today. It's going to plummet. I promise you that's going to plummet. I've seen how this works.
Well, the Arrowhead Pride community just certainly recommend that to everybody. But go check out Barley Hop on Twitter at Barley Hop. Great follow, very informative, and we appreciate you spending the time. But I think that's all we've got for you. Thanks again. Back to you, Josh. Thanks, Josh. Great interview. Like I said, Craig Stout, appreciate it again. He was an absolute blast to talk to you. Look forward to having him again. But go check out the AP Laboratory at Barley Hop on Twitter and check out his work and all the work at Arrowhead Pride. We would love to talk to all those guys. So we'll have a beer with Craig sometime, hopefully in the future. But let's move on to the final topic that we're going to talk about, which is basically just in general how we're feeling about the possibility of having sports in general. It seems like every week the situation changes. The possibilities become more dire and drastic, and so just trying to get in everybody's take on what they're kind of feeling about how this is all going to turn out. So let's start with the MLB. They started workouts on July 1st. They're prepping for a July 24th opening day. Brian, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at on the possibility of MLB actually playing? With 1 being it's not happening, 10 is it's happening.
9.99, Josh.
Okay.
All right.
They're
Not
going to start the
scared.
season. They're going to start the season. No one is foolish enough, I don't think, to say how it ends, but I think it's quite certain at this point that they're going to start.
Interesting. The only thing that I kind of say that nay on that is it's only going to take one team to bow out of this.
I disagree.
I think it is. With all these guys, David Price, Ryan Zimmerman, Buster Posey, King Felix, all these guys opting out, and then
Washed.
But then you have guys like Freddie Freeman, who is tested positive and has symptoms and seems to be the most severe symptom shower and haver of all the big names. But then you got like Charlie Blackmon, Kenley Jansen, Salvi Perez, guys. I mean, most of the Royals catching core is down with positive COVID tests. So if that hits, and they're also having a lot of problems getting testing on time so that everybody is allowed to work out all together and is ready for the season. It's just, I mean, in my opinion, it's just going to take one domino to be like, okay. I mean, Rudy Gobert just shut down the entire NBA season.
I mean, we've come a long way since that, haven't we?
Have we?
Oh yeah.
Have we?
I think we did, and we didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
agree.
the country as a whole regressed, but everyone put a plan in place for a reason, knowing that some of these guys were going to test positive along the way. There's a reason that they gave teams 60-man rosters, because they knew there are going to be outbreaks even within their own team. So you don't have to pull an entire team out of the schedule if 5 or 6 guys test positive at once. You've got backup plans, you've got testing protocols, and like you said, alluded to, that July 4th. They botched that up badly because they had some teams where the testers didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
They had the tests weren't coming back in the time frame they were supposed to. So you had teams just keeping guys out that hadn't gotten cleared. And I mean, they were having to sit out for a day, maybe 2. They eventually got the tests back, the test results back, and it huge some red flags. Some players spoke out and said, hey, this is bullshit. We agreed to deals that we were going to get tested every other day, and we're going to have tests back within a reasonable amount of time. MLB's said that their goal is within 24 hours. They've got their own lab in Utah where they send all their tests, and I think I read that they process 2,000 tests a day just for Major League Baseball.
Wow.
So they've got the
That's a lot.
protocols in place. They just
Yeah,
got
it
to
is.
figure out these stupid kinks, and we can't have these kind of kinks when the season goes, because right now you see the teams like the Cubs where they had 5 or 6 guys that didn't get their cleared tests on Monday or whatever it was. And so they just held them out of abundant amount of precaution, or whatever they're all saying right now, which right now you're just practicing. So you can use that
You can
abundant
afford
amount
that.
of precaution. I think once the schedule starts, if a player doesn't get cleared, he'll probably just still play, is what I'm guessing. I don't think they're going to hold him out when the season's going, which creates risky scenarios. But I think practice and games are going to be different. And you like to think that we work out these kinks by the game start, right?
Right.
Because we're going to have 3 weeks worth of practicing and getting this process figured out and hopefully streamlined to where we don't have these kinks when the games start, and it can kind of bring back some normalcy. Special shout out to the Royals, by the way. If you guys have been following along on social media, they've been doing like scrimmages and stuff at night, and they stream it on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook Live. You can just watch the scrimmage, and now they've got Lefevre and Physioc like actually calling the game, showing multiple camera angles. So if you've been missing baseball, you can watch some baseball nights now without watching it on TV. They've got some exhibition games scheduled now. The FSKC is going to actually broadcast those. They're coming up at the end of the month, right before the season starts. But
2 games against the Astros, so
and the Cardinals.
Let's boo loud enough that they can hear you from wherever you are.
But our conversation about this stuff kind of did bring up an idea last night about that he mentioned during the broadcast that Brad Keller has been out because he tested positive, and that he would struggle to work up to his pitch count. So he's probably not a candidate for opening day now. And that got me thinking, like, as the season goes, we're just going to have more and more guys that test positive. So, like, in this window, he could have been pitching simulated games with Salvador Perez. They both were positive at the time. If you had an environment where they were kind of isolated from the world and they're not exposing someone else, I wonder if teams are going to kind of start creating an isolated environment for guys that do test positive in the middle of the season to get to. They're always worried about rhythms in baseball, right? Rhythms, got to stay in a rhythm and a routine. They always love routines. I don't think baseball teams, as the season goes, are going to want to just sit their guy in a hotel room for 2 weeks and he just sits there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I wonder if they haven't already, if they start creating these isolation spaces for guys that test positive, they can still work out and still stay, in shape.
Yeah. And I can't remember if Keller was symptomatic or not.
No.
I thought either him or Ryan O'Hearn were symptomatic, but maybe.
He said it felt like a bad allergy attack.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'd say he had symptoms, but he said, I don't know if they describe him as asymptomatic or not.
He was hurt, not injured.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, it's an interesting thought to kind of think about these guys playing through it and trying to sweep under the rug some of those positive tests. I kind of wonder if that's going to happen behind the curtain, but that will be a big shit show if they ever were discovered to have done that, I think.
They'd be super dumb to do that.
Yep.
I'm talking about playing if they haven't got the result back. If you had like the Cubs scenario on Monday where they hadn't got the results back yet and they held guys out. I'm not saying they have positive guys. They're just going to knowingly send them out in the field still. That's not what I'm saying.
Go lick
extremely
the other team.
short-sighted.
Go ahead and lick all the Yankees that you can find.
Yeah.
Sabotage.
Or licking doorknobs in hotels.
Yeah. So Brian's at a 99.9, I guess a 9.99 out of 10.
right.
So that's pretty good. I feel comforted by that.
Good.
Let's see how Rance is feeling about the NBA season. They got all the NBA players kind of jumped into their bubble there in Disney World, the happiest bubble on earth, about July 9th to prep for the July 30th start date. Rance, let's start where Brian did. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
I've got it at about an 8.5. I mean, I feel if they've got LeBron down there, they're playing.
Yeah. Okay.
If the best player in the world is down there ready to he's getting geared up to go, then I'm pretty certain that they're going to start.
Mm-hmm.
Read a lot about the bubble they got going on down there, and everybody's, they've been going at it for about a week, got a lot of courts. So a lot of teams get their own space, not really sharing a lot of court space with other, they're isolated as far as that by themselves, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of remind me of what I was reading about, like if you were to just go to a team basketball camp of the summer, but just for millionaires.
Yeah.
They can use like the Disney lakes to go fishing. I saw Paul George and just caught like a 7 or 8 pound bass out of there. They got all access.
He threw it back and like hit a rock immediately, right?
That was Ben Simmons.
Okay,
Ben Simmons caught that little one. Like Paul George caught a big one. Ben Simmons caught that little one. It probably wasn't even a pound, and then dropped it, and it bounced off the rocks. But they have all the access to the fishing lakes there, like all access to the golf, like
Splash Mountain.
They can ride the rides after out, that sort of thing. I mean, I read that some guys were bringing down their TVs and all their gaming systems, but they have access to movie, anything that you could think of for somebody that's rich, professional athlete. I mean, it's there. I read, several players bitching about the food, but I mean, good God. I mean, I can't be. Everything can't be. Yeah, it didn't look great. I bet it looked like cafeteria food, but that's, that's just the way it is, I'm excited about it. I mean, they have had some pretty significant players test positive. Nikola Jokic tested positive. Russell Westbrook just tested positive. Malcolm Brogdon, Buddy Hield have both tested positive. So there's going to be some in there, that are going to just kind of like Brian was saying. I don't know what will happen when they get somebody that tests positive that's inside the bubble, what you do, because as far as I know, like these guys were tested positive before they ever got to the bubble, and got in there.
Michael Beasley just tested positive today, and he got sent outside the bubble.
Yeah.
So they've got an isolation place for these people.
Okay. And I had not read that. I mean, you also got guys opting out, significant players, not stars, but guys that help teams. Trevor Ariza, Avery Bradley's opted out. Oladipo's not coming back. There was a guy for the Sacramento Kings who went out to get some ribs. And he was, I mean, he's been isolated.
From his Postmates. He ordered Postmates and then crossed the boundary.
Over the boundary, the imaginary boundary, got his food, come back. No, dude, you're quarantined for 2 weeks.
They put him in timeout.
Yeah, he's done. I think
the funniest part about that is
Holmes, I think, from the Kings.
Yep. The funny part about that is Kelly Oubre went out to Twitter and was like, hey, all my fellow bubbleies, go order some Postmates and then you can go meet them in a non-quarantine zone, pick up your food, and then the next thing was was Rashawn Holmes getting busted and getting sent to quarantine, and then Oubre just tweeted, "Oops."
It was a setup.
Yeah.
You got him.
Talk about sabotage. We're playing some mind games in the NBA bubble right now.
I'd also read that a couple of those guys that had beer brought into them. J.J. Redick was chugging beers. What's his name?
Myers
Leonard.
Hammering some beers in there. So it sounds like a pretty good time. If you just
Sounds like a golf weekend at the Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah, you play a little basketball. You can fish, play some video games, plug some beers. I mean,
play basketball.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing you have to do a day.
And these guys are still bitching about something. Good grief. So, yeah, I'm pretty certain that they're going to play, or at least get it started. I mean, they've got everybody down there now. They've been at it for a week. I mean, starts July 30th, so they've still got a couple weeks left. But I mean, it also doesn't help that it's in Orlando, one of the major hot spots in the United States right now, or the biggest hot spot. So that can't. I mean, that's not a great sign.
Not a great sign.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what they're doing with the people that are working down there where they're staying in that bubble for the facility workers, of how they're being tested, or if they are, to keep them from hopefully spreading anything to players that are being isolated so much. So
I mean, I can't imagine those facility workers being able to leave, right?
Right. I can't imagine either. If you
I'm
want to create a true bubble, you got to keep everybody inside.
Everybody in. I mean, you have to. You can't let them go outside to their homes and then come back. I mean, and serve players. I mean, they've got to be staying there somewhere.
Yeah.
You can't be inviting Instagram models into the bubble.
Has anyone gone down there yet? Has anyone?
There's been rumors of
Instagram models in the bubble.
Sneaking them in.
Yeah.
Are they in the bubble yet? Are they in the bubble?
Infiltrated the bubble.
They have not infiltrated the bub.
It's gonna be like some guy tunneling out of prison. They're gonna be tunneling Instagram models into the bubble.
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank into the bubble.
Well, they said that snitch hotline's just lighting up left and right.
That's hilarious too. Snitch hotline. That's a great. I hope they have all 30 teams just listed that to make sure what team's calling in on the snitch hotline.
That'd be great to know.
Two completely different approaches between the MLB and the NBA, which is very exciting. I like to see the two of them kind of figure out which one's got the better model, which kind of brings us naturally to the third model, which I think all of us are kind of more concerned about is football at this point. We did see last week that the Big Ten came out and said that they're going to refigure their conference or their schedule to just play just the 10 teams in the Big Ten are going to play each other, and that's going to be their season. So, Kitty, I guess we're going to start with you. The official team workouts started yesterday on Monday. Games, like I said, scheduled to begin around August 29th, I believe, is the first games. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about the college football season taking off?
4. I'm going to go with 4. That just seems like the hardest thing they're going to do, especially if there's going to be college in session, kids on campus. You've got these major universities with 20,000 plus kids on campus. You can't isolate the football team really from the rest of the kids. And I mean, the college kids are going to be going out, partying, doing whatever. Hard to me, really keep that part of that sport the safest. Yep. It's just so many moving parts, so much more to deal with, rather than professional athletes where they've got money. They don't need to. They can isolate for 2 months. Not that big of a deal for them.
And they're
you got college kids trying to do it.
Right. The invulnerable feeling is not necessarily as prevalent in NBA grown-ups.
Right, and they've got their contracts. They're trying to protect that a little bit too, protect their own interests a little more than the college kids are worried about at this point. I mean, you've seen these. I don't know how it just probably some more sensationalistic, but COVID parties that people are having.
Wild.
Younger 18 to 25-year-olds are just all getting together to try to spread COVID to each other for some unknown reason.
Yep.
So
Bizarre.
Just seems like an odd or tough proposition right now. And I saw the quote from the Ohio State athletic director. I'm really concerned. I'm very concerned.
Very.
Our last conversation, whenever that was, I was cautiously optimistic. I'm not even there now. When you look at the behavior of our country and you consider that in May, we were on a downward trajectory with our coronavirus cases. Now we're, if not the worst in the world, one of the worst in the world. So Ohio State athletic director not impressed right now.
Not pulling punches either. He's going going after
he's
it.
letting it all out there. So that, after I read that quote, that really dropped me down a little bit too.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, even the Ivy League's already said no.
Yeah.
That's why. I mean, obviously
it's
a smaller league, but they just said no fall sports, no reason to risk it. So
I think I
I'm
saw
curious
SEC's saying that they're not going to make any decisions till late July, which is coming up. But
They're coming out.
Yeah.
right, yeah.
I was wondering if they had asked about that, if they were playing conference games like the Big Ten, because they were one of the first conferences to even mention that. I didn't know what the SEC's plan was yet. So
because the Pac-12's done the same, haven't they? They said conference only as well.
At least that's the
Thought I
rumor.
saw
I
that.
don't know if that was officially announced or not.
There's no official announcement. Okay.
But I think that's the logical kind of first or next step. I think
Almost should probably just be all the major conferences should just play each other. Most of them all have enough teams where they could round robin at worst and get 9 games.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Missouri won't get to beat up on them bums the first 3 games of the season.
That's right.
Off
A lot of teams losing 3 wins.
Yeah.
I will say the SEC did make an announcement today that I thought was smart, where they have stopped all fall sports all through August, all the non-money making sports like volleyball and swimming and crap like that
So
doesn't
everything
make
but
any
football.
money. So we can push that
Football and
back.
baseball,
Yeah. To just increase our chances of getting us the sport that actually makes money for the university.
For the rest of the sports, yeah, exactly.
Because even though the athletic director stuff don't get to make the final call on a lot of this, and they get overruled by the president of school or people running their own states, I think everyone knows by now what's at stake as far as the university budget goes by not having this football season. So I think the big power conferences are going to fight like hell to keep the football season in some kind of form. But I think what Kitty says is totally fair about being middle of the road to 4. I mean,
leaning
they ain't
towards
looking
9.
great right now.
Yeah.
No.
Well, they were. I mean, all the doctors and stuff were talking about back when we were on the decline. They were still saying like, we expect this to come back in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's supposed to come back in the fall, it seems like it's gonna. I mean, you can finish an MLB season. I think they said it was like a hard date during negotiations. They have to be done by September because they do not want they don't want to play 60 games and then the playoffs get interrupted by another outbreak. You can finish the rest of the NBA season in that time as well. You're going to get right in the thick of football, both NCAA and NFL, and not know it. And that's just a train that's just going to be much harder than the NBA to even stop, I think.
Yeah, I'm much more hopeful NFL than I am for college football.
Oh, they're playing the NFL games.
Oh, yeah. They'll play with scrubs if they have to in the NFL.
Yep.
They're pretty
that's kind of where we are. We kind of ran the full gamut there with a 4, an 8.5, and a 9.99. Very interesting outlook. But hey, that's what we do here at the Clearing Waivers podcast. We speculate and we go off of our pure feelings at this point. So that was Clearing the Waivers. Great job, guys. We'll move on to the shenanigans for the week. We kind of run a little bit low on time, so we're going to knock out some of these, but we are going to start off with the original DFA, designated for assignment. Kitty's got the question this week, and I think the standings have got the order of guessing going at Brian, and then Rance, and then myself. So Kitty's got the question. Go ahead, Kitty.
All right. Now, I thought I could be mean to you guys and give you either a soccer question or a golf question, but I decided to be a little bit nicer, and I went with NBA question.
All right. I'm going to go take a nap real quick.
Yeah, you'll be all right, Josh. Okay, it's happened 74 times where a player has scored 60 or more points in an NBA game. There are 7 active players that have done it. So we're looking for the 7 active players that have scored more than 60 points in an NBA game.
Okay.
Brian's up first.
BK, you're up first. And just for just to give you a little bit of, said 74 times. Wilt Chamberlain's done it 32 of the 74 times.
Oh my god!
There
Pretty
were quite a
impressive.
few. And yeah, 2 of the guys on the list of the 7 active, there's 2 guys that have done it more than once. But yeah, so Wilt Chamberlain's a little bit ahead of the pack at 32.
Pretty
Good
healthy.
God.
Pretty healthy.
I'm just going to start off with James Harden, the beard.
That is correct. He has done it 4 times.
Wow.
61 twice and 60 twice, which is kind of funny that he's never. It's all right
Yeah.
there.
He's
But
gotten to the limit.
yeah. All right. So that's one of the multiples. So now we're up to Rance.
Well, I know this because he did it against the Celtics, and that's Devin Booker.
Yes, he had 70. He's the highest
Ooh.
of the active players.
I just wrote his name down. I thought he had a crazy game. That might be one of the dark horse names on the list.
Yeah, I'd say there's one real dark horse, and that was Devin Booker was kind of a half dark horse.
Okay.
I gotta think that Westbrook has done it.
He has not. He got
Yeah.
to 58.
Sounds about right.
Mm.
We did it,
Yeah, I tried to
guys.
write down all the guys that got to in the 50s too.
Real
so I
close.
if you got close, I'll be able to give you their names too.
So I get a half point. Cool.
I'm not sure if a half points were ever discussed before this started, so I'm gonna have to say no on that.
You're not giving me an option. You're sending me out for a rehab assignment.
Okay, there we go. It's just a mini, little bit 3 games of rehab assignment.
Yep.
There we go.
Come back to me in like 2 guesses.
All right, we'll do.
How about Kevin Durant?
Kevin Durant has a 54-point game, so he has not done it either. Yeah, there's some really big names that I was kind of surprised that
What a
got
fraud.
stuck in that 50. Right, for such a great score, Fraud City.
Get him out of my
Durantula.
life.
Durantula's got to be one of the best nicknames of all time, by the way.
I
love
like
that
that.
nickname.
It works so well because he's got those long, spindly
those
arms
super
and legs.
long-
It just
yeah.
works. Just works.
My turn.
All right. Rant, you are up.
Dame Lillard.
He has done it twice. 61 and 60 as well. So there you go. 4 guys left. Josh, we're up to you.
Let's go for Klay Thompson.
60 points from Clay.
When he hit all those that game, he hit all
Yeah.
those threes. Didn't he hit
Just
like
drilled
14 threes or
Every
something?
of them.
I think
Great
I
pull,
have it on
Josh.
here. He did he was 8 of 14 from 3 actually. Not as many threes as I thought.
Oh, I thought he hit more than that.
No, he still hit
Right. He may have had
36
a
points at one
game where he
three.
hit a little bit less.
That's not right. Math's not right there.
24, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
24
You're right,
points.
36.
But if he hit 8
That was
3s.
36
Yeah.
other points for non-threes.
Oh, I thought you just said threes. 36 points of threes.
Why don't you pipe down, bud?
Is that not what you meant?
Yes.
He knew, I knew what he meant. I knew what he meant. You're good, Josh. Good work.
I am good.
All right.
Thank you,
PK,
Katie.
you are up.
I don't remember him ever specifically doing it, but give me one time with LeBron.
He did do it.
Okay, thank God.
I was in the same boat, not
Yeah.
sure.
I was gonna say,
LeBron-
surely he did it one time or something.
LeBron's got it 61 points. In
Just one time?
2014 for the Heat. Just one time for him. Yeah,
Wow.
only 2 guys left. Each did it once. Yeah, so LeBron's only done it. Yeah, did it the one time. So, but then, Kobe Bryant 6 times. Jordan 5. Elgin Baylor would have been a fun one to have you guys guess, but don't think
Yep.
you're getting him.
Nope.
All right, 2 names left, and Rance, I think it's up to you here.
I'm just going with a guy that can get real hot real quick. Steph Curry.
Steph Curry, 54.
Okay.
So did not make it.
Hmm.
All right, everyone's got 1 strike right now.
Seems like all the NBA questions I've come up with, 2 names keep coming up. So if it wasn't recently, then I'm in a lot of trouble. But I'm gonna go with the one name that I like the most is Trae Young.
Trae Young has got to 50. That's his max so far.
That's a good guess because I was remembering that one big game we kind of talked about.
Yep.
Didn't know.
Right.
Was he second in the league in scoring this season after the beer? He's up there.
I think that sounds familiar. Yeah, there were
I'm gonna go
25
with
guys that are between 50 and 60.
Hmm.
All right.
I'm going to go with the guy that was filling it up this year. This is off the wall. Bradley Beal.
I had him on the list.
Good guess, but he only got to 55.
That bum.
I believe that was this year. I believe it was this year as well.
I'm out of names.
All right, it's 2 strikes for BK.
Got a brainstorm.
Got 1 for Rance, 2 for Josh here. So if Rance doesn't get one, we're starting to get the clue section of the game.
I don't know why. This is probably nowhere close. Did Kimball Walker do it one time for the Hornets?
60 for Kemba Walker.
Ooh,
That was a great
good
guess.
pull.
That was the dark horse, I thought, was the real tough one.
One more
I guess the
name.
other ones, no. We got 1 more name left. And 2 strikes. Is it a hint? Hint for Josh or not with 2 strikes?
I think we all got to be at 2 strikes in order to get the hints now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's right.
All right, Josh, who we got for me?
The only name I can really come up with is more of a defender guy, but I'm going to say Kawhi.
Do not have him on there.
Didn't
He
even
hasn't
get
got
close
50.
to.
I don't have him even at 50. Didn't see his name.
Well, I did about as well as I thought I was going to.
Josh on the basketball quiz is not his strong suit there.
1.5.
So, all right. All right. BK, who do we got for us?
$60 is so many points. And that.
Oh, and just as when Devin Booker did get 70 points, his team lost the game,
Yeah, they did lose.
which is a really interesting
Damn.
wrinkle.
Sorry, AJ.
And this guy only did it one time, you said, right?
Yep, just one time. I mean, he scored 62 points in a game. That's not really a hint, but just gave you the number.
Damn it.
Because it really means nothing.
The good news is Rance has kind of played this to where only he's
He's the
going
one
to
that
get
gets
he's going to
clues.
get the good clues. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no confidence in this, but let me guess. 190 went crazy. Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler at 53. So that is
I'm
3
out.
for Kaiser.
Brian
All right,
Campbell,
Rance, you got
baby.
one strike, and you got anybody on your mind?
No. Trying to think of guards. We've talked about a lot of guards.
Yeah.
It's hard for big men to score
Mm-hmm.
that many. Trying to
What
think
about-
of some more
Oh,
elite
we're not in the
guards.
teamwork.
Not teamwork
More.
yet. If he gets one more.
I just thought of a name that I would feel pretty good about.
I don't know, man.
Oh.
Carl Anthony Towns.
He got to 56.
Whoa.
So that's
Well
a good
done.
guess.
Great pull.
Rance,
All
what do
right.
you think about Melo?
So this is an Eastern Conference player when it was set. Look at that.
What about Kyrie?
Wasn't him. Oh, Kyrie.
Yeah, Kyrie's a good guess.
He's filled it up before.
Yep, he's had to do maybe when LeBron was gone or
He's probably had to do it in Boston.
yeah, I don't remember him scoring 60 because he never seemed to play there very much. But
I don't think Giannis has done it.
I think that's as good as guess.
He's an Eastern
He's in it.
Conference dude.
Yeah,
He's only
and
been
he's
Eastern
only been
Conference.
in Eastern Conference. Yeah, let's not waste any time. Kyrie.
57.
Oh!
What was that name you said, Kaiser? What was that name you said, Kaiser?
He said Melo. Is that right?
Medal of 62 points in 2014.
Nice.
Holy shit.
For the Knicks?
It was Melo for the Knicks against the Bobcats.
Hmm.
Some other guys that just missed the cut was AD got 59. Cousins
Wow.
56, and Aldridge 56.
Wow. 3 big dudes.
The craziest names on this list for me were
Kareem Rush.
Not
active.
Terrence Ross 51.
Yeah.
Karis LeVert 51. Corey
Wow.
Brewer 51.
Brewer. Yeah.
Lou Williams got 51 night.
I was going to say either Lou Williams or Jamal Crawford.
Jamal Crawford could do that too.
Yeah.
He got to 52 one night. So I mean, he got close, but for being usually a sixth man, that's pretty impressive.
Anthony Davis never crossed my mind one time.
Yeah.
And that would be one you would think about.
I did it for a
got
half
the
second with my last
got the
guess, but I
50.
was like you said, the big guys don't usually put up 60.
59 from him is impressive.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Well done.
you
Good
got us.
question. I like it.
Yep.
We did get a dub, and Rance pulled the two win. So well done to Rance. Great showing from him. Great question. Let's move on to the waiver wire for the night. Didn't have a poll out. Did that on purpose this time because we did have the fake Ned Yost, the fake Ned on Twitter. Chris Kamler joined us last week for our draft of the best parts about working from home, which was a lot of fun. If you haven't watched that already, go check it out. It was a lot of fun, really fun time with him. So this week I had Brian randomize it. He just gave me a sequence of 4 numbers, and I had them allotted. So Rance is going to get the first pick, and then Kitty, and then Brian, and then me. So this is Brian's fault that I'm drafting last. This week we are going to draft. I got this suggestion from a sink pisser that we should draft our man crushes. So we've probably talked about quite a few of them on our draft board. So
I would assume
probably not
so.
going to be super surprises to the listeners that we've had, but we're going to put it on the record, get it official, and we're going to draft us some man crushes. So like I said, Rance is going to start us off. Rance, go ahead.
Well, I got a pretty long list here of man crushes.
I wrote down 40 names just in case.
I just didn't know where this would go, if we had a lot of the same. And I know I could probably get this guy later on down the road, but I kind of took it as I picked Lieb Schreiber as Ray Donovan as my man crush.
Oh, wow. That's outside the box.
Who doesn't want to be that guy?
I love it.
The fixer for the Stars, gets the ladies, doesn't give a shit, works people over when he wants, don't take no lip. I mean, he seems kind of miserable in that role.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of depressing. You're right, but man, he just kicks ass. There's something about that really grinds my gears.
You like your man to be able to kick some ass.
Yeah. A real man's man. Drinks Johnny Walker Red or whatever it is.
The end of the night,
Johnny Walker.
Yeah, he just takes pulls off the bottle until he's drunk enough to pass out.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a happy guy by any means.
No. Not necessarily a role model, but
You're selling us on the life.
yeah.
I'm trying to sell you on the life, man.
He lives in a great house.
I've always dreamed of being a badass and tossing people around, not taking no lip.
I like it.
True.
Great first pick.
Is the first pick is the part. It's a great pick, but question.
Yeah, I could have got him all. Yeah, I agree. I said that.
But you got your guy, so
I got
You
the
pick
guy
from your heart, man.
yeah,
Heart.
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. It's never done Kitty wrong. Kitty, you're up. What's your first? Your first pick for man crushes? Yeah.
I don't think anybody was.
Nope.
No, I like it. That's what makes these drafts fun.
Got me looking
You get
forward
to
to your next pick.
Some outside the box picks going through. So I'm going to take my 1.01, and I'm taking old Channing Tatum.
Ooh.
Oh, good old C-Tates.
Yep.
Can't go wrong with old Magic Mike and Magic Mike XXL. Some of his other less heralded roles in Hail Caesar. Just seems like a great, charming fellow, and seems like he'd be a fun guy to hang around with.
Definitely.
But he's also faded into oblivion.
Has he?
Faded into oblivion.
What's he doing?
He hasn't done much in a while, has he?
They stopped
any
making Magic
significance?
Mikes.
They did stop making Magic Mike.
He
That's
needs
true. That's tough.
23 Jump Street now.
I guarantee you that's coming. Guaranteed.
I would
He's gonna
imagine
work on
so.
Jonah Hill's schedule.
Yeah, because he's not doing nothing either, is he? Jonah Hill.
I mean, they're probably both doing something. We just haven't heard about it. C-Tate should probably be the next Marvel movie. If he
There
Kitty,
you go.
if he is
That's
in
a
a
good
Marvel
question. There
movie,
you go.
are you gonna go watch it?
I'll probably watch the first one of the 18 sequels that they make of it. So just watch the first and then I'm done.
Until you see that first hologram and you're out.
I'm like, all right, done. Good time, everybody. Enjoy the
Yep.
rest of the movies.
Good times.
I mean, one of my favorite things about C-Tates is it's well documented that his Magic Mike life and regular life are much different in the fact that he basically starves himself when it's time for Magic Mike, does nothing but work out. When he's not filming
Right.
for that, he puts on a dad bod gut just like all of us.
He does
do.
have a little bit of weight on him. Yeah, definitely.
I love that
I
about
mean,
him.
it's
Sure.
and supposedly that movie was loosely based on his actual life story
Right.
a little bit down there. So that's
Yeah.
kind of fun.
Sure.
He's got some good. That guy's got some stories to tell you. If you're hanging out with him.
100%. Brian.
I'm so
you.
excited. He's still sitting there, guys.
I didn't.
I know you're. Yeah, I just
My
can't
guy
take.
kicks ass in real life and in the movies. He never has a dad bod gut. He never is going to fade into oblivion.
Oblivion.
The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Yep.
I mean, he's the ultimate man. I would do anything for Dwayne Johnson. And if he couldn't be any better, now he's making his own tequila.
Uh-huh.
And I love
Oh,
tequila.
I didn't know that.
Shout out Terramana Tequila. I've tried it. The Reposada, delicious. And no, I'm not just saying that because he's my number one.
I
man
was going to
crush.
say,
Yeah,
you
I
would
don't.
do-
I'm not.
It tastes
I'm
like
not sure.
dog shit. And you would say it was delicious.
We can't take his word for this yet. We're gonna have to take a sample ourselves. To really, make sure
Brian's
this is
just
correct.
simping for The Rock at this point.
God, I can't believe I got him for third pick.
Third pick overall.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
rant.
you, idiots, for dropping.
Ray Donovan was taking over The Rock in this draft, which is
I'm sorry.
wild.
You said to pick with your heart.
You
so
did.
I
that's
didn't
what
have to
did.
cross
No,
a
I
single
like it.
name off my list
Yep.
yet.
Well, neither
Okay,
have
that's
I.
just rude right there too. Jesus Christ.
Neither have I.
What do you guys know about anything? I already know
I did-
Josh's first pick.
I did
anyway,
have The
so it
Rock.
doesn't matter.
I did have The Rock.
He was on
so
my
I
list
lied.
too.
My first 101 for me is the man Ryan Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
He is
Mm.
just endlessly funny. He has the well does not dry up with that guy. He's a handsome fella. He's just witty, charismatic, just all around awesome. Ryan Reynolds is my first pick.
I love that.
That's a great one. I mean, I think I took him for over some other people for the
Old
who I
baby
could
goose.
keep trade cut. Keep
That's
trade
true.
cut right there.
That's true.
You're a big time baby goose simp, and you took old Ryan Reynolds over.
I needed that TV show. Needed that TV show.
Understandable. Two guys, one girl, and a pizza place.
That's right.
My next pick, man, I could ruin a lot of draft boards, especially the guy right behind me.
Don't you do it.
Take him.
It's just right there.
I know.
It's just right there.
You pick with your heart, not
I'm gonna
trying
do
to
it.
hate.
I'm gonna do it. It's the triple threat guy. The Renaissance man. He's bringing sexy back, folks.
Screw you.
The man, Justin Timberlake, is coming over with Ryan Reynolds on my man crush draft board.
I did
You don't even love him.
I knew
it was
You
coming.
did that to steal it from me.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it did sweeten the pot to steal it from you a little bit, but I still very much have a man crush on Justin Timberlake.
You're an asshole.
I mean, draft better. You were either gonna give me The Rock or Justin Timberlake. Are you happy with your pick then?
Of course, I took
Okay.
my preferred guy,
Went with
but
your
I
heart.
know deep in your heart, JT is not in your top 2 man crushes. You just
I
took
mean,
him
more
because
of a-
you know I love him.
If you're looking at my draft board, Justin Timberlake is number 4. So I mean,
That's
And-
my point.
2 and 3 have not been taken either. So
That's-
you're not completely wrong, but
You're
he
an
is very
asshole.
high on my draft
he
board.
thinks he's getting 2 and 3 in his next 2 picks, so he's
Yeah,
good with
there's
it.
no way Justin Timberlake's making it back to me in my next pick. So it's just smart drafting is all it is. Brian,
Fine.
what's your next pick?
My next pick is newly dear to my heart, and I'm doing it, baby.
Kevin Costner.
Patrick Mahomes
Oh,
is my number 2 man crush.
Well,
That was
draft
number
one.
2 on my board, so you stole mine too.
He's making
Draft
Chiefs fans'
was just
dreams
one.
come true by the day. And add on top of that, he seems like the nicest, most genuine, humble guy that you could ever have in the position of leading your franchise. He's everything you want in your QB1. He's everything you want in the guy that's the king of your city. I can't wait for 12 more years of Patrick Mahomes and beyond. He'll still be my man crush forever. So he brought me the only Super Bowl title of my lifetime.
Yep.
Keep him coming, Patty. Let's go. I got The Rock and Pat Mahomes.
It's
I
it's
should
such-
probably
Unbelievable.
update my draft board.
Mahomes is 24,
Yep, he is.
so or is he 25?
24.
He's got to be 25.
Just trust me.
Irregardlessly, the fact that he can act like a 24-year-old playing golf and then still be like a seasoned veteran when it comes to like interviews and knows how to say the right things is just wild in this day and age.
I agree. And I mean, we saw him playing at Lake Tahoe, and he did the pump up celebration thing after his putt, and it almost seems like it was forced a little bit because he was like, he's kind of trying to be somebody that he's probably not on the golf course usually, because the rest of the time he's just soft-spoken dude.
Yeah, unless it's a Super Bowl parade.
He's impossible not to like unless he's your rival.
Yep.
Saw that golf score he put up, so he's probably just not feeling all that great about his game anyway. So
Wasn't very good.
He's here to hit some balls and throw some pine cones at Kelsey's ass.
Yep.
there you go.
Wet willies.
He did hit that really good shot on the approach.
He had a few good ones.
Yeah. Kelsey eagled. Yeah.
Yeah, he had an
there you
eagle.
go.
Good stuff.
Nice.
Yep. So back to you, Kitty.
I'm hot and bothered.
All right.
Only halfway done. Not
Need to
even.
get a wet.
I'm sweating.
Need to get an ice bath ready for you later.
No kidding. Cool off, fella.
I'm going to take another person from Magic Mike, and I'm taking Matthew McConaughey.
All right. All right.
You got, anyone that's gets a disturbing the piece calling them for naked bongo drumming, I'm there. Let's party. Let's have some fun, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Just seems like, you've seen those Lincoln ads. I feel like that's the most him of all time. That's some good stuff right there. I can't get enough of it.
Super accurate, yeah.
I need more Lincoln ads, not less. I want 2 per commercial break.
Whew, that's a lot of.
That's the one thing. That's the one thing I have missed without having actual TV right now with sport not being on.
Lincoln
I'm not getting
ads.
enough McConaughey ads.
Now, there's a guy there where nothing's forced. He is himself pretty much
Oh yeah.
1,000% of the time.
He's got that. What's this? Keep living. Is that his?
Yep.
Yep.
His
L-I-V-I-N.
clothing line he's got out too. Keep living. So good.
That's
It
a
is
good
hard
pick.
not to like him too.
Yep.
Certainly.
Just
Rance, we're back to you.
Well, I've got to go to my man that I've talked about so many times. I don't miss any of his shows, and that's old Gordy.
Yeah.
Gordon Ramsay. That's old Gordy. 24 Hours to Hell. Hell's Kitchen. He's got that new show called Uncharted on National Geographic.
that's a good show.
I know he can be real difficult and he berates people, but he's real charming, real charismatic, can be real funny. He's got it all. Got the whole thing.
You just want to get the
I'd love
get the
for
tricks
him
of
to
the
come
tricks of
hang
the
out.
trade of dressing down people. How can I do this better in my own life?
He's
Just
pretty
learn
good
from
at
the
that.
best.
He's pretty good at that already. He doesn't need any more tricks of the trade, I don't believe.
Just have him come out for some beers on the deck and just rip into people. Maybe have a nice lobster risotto, right, Josh?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
You're goddamn right.
That's a good pick. I like that one a lot.
Yep, not too shabby. Rance, we're on the turns.
Okay, so I'm back to me, and here we go with my number 3 pick. In a glass case, boys. Check it
Autograph.
out. Autograph.
Beautiful. Look at him
my
go.
man. That's my man.
He took that off the wall just for this draft. I love it.
Well, I'm not allowed to hang it on the wall at my
Oh,
house.
okay. That makes sense.
So it's just sitting in a corner in the office, but I thought, man, I'll pull this shit out for tonight.
Yeah.
For the listeners only, he just pulled out a Tony Romo signed
Tony.
jersey.
Oh, right. Yeah. Forgot
Anthony
to write
Romo.
that off.
I
We do
know.
have
I mean,
some,
he didn't take the Cowboys as far as we wanted, but he was a Cowboys quarterback. Unbelievable announcer, analyst,
I like him
analyst,
a lot.
whatever you want to say, on CBS. Two-time winner in that Accenture celebrity golf tournament. Had to withdraw, bad wrist. So
Hell of a golfer.
has played in a couple legit PGA tournaments. Hasn't made the cut yet, but I mean, he's
It's only a matter of time.
good looks, funny. I like him a lot. Always have. So, underdog story. I mean, he was an undrafted quarterback. But what's not to like about him?
See, he's the attractive Kurt Warner.
But Kurt won some Super Bowls. There's the difference.
Right. Yeah.
So, there you go. Number 3.
Nice pick. Dig it. Kitty.
Oh, well, he is still sitting there. Pretty pumped about this. So I will
Benson?
take
Dave
all.
Benson.
I'm
Who
Joe.
are you?
Fred Benson.
That Benson guy.
Oh,
Doug Benson.
Doug Benson. No. Fred Benson. Yeah, I don't even know who that is.
Uh-huh.
Not taking him. I'm
Sorry.
taking old Baby Goose. Baby
Oh.
Goose is coming back to me. That's a steal in third round. Just
Not
an
bad.
absolute steal.
Yep.
I agree with that.
I don't know. He's Canadian. What more do you need to know? This is- you know he's just going to be the nicest guy ever.
So is Ryan
That's it.
Reynolds, baby. I mean, those two.
Exactly. So there we go.
representing Canada. Canada knows how to
That's
pump
Baby
out the
Goose is great.
studs.
Everything he does. Movie Drive is so amazing.
I watched Crazy Stupid Love a couple weeks ago. It was
Who
still
are we
really
talking about?
good. Ryan
Gosling,
Oh,
Baby Goose.
Oh.
I don't know who Baby Goose
What
is.
are we talking about?
That seems like an insult to me.
Huge mistake. I'm sorry. Now I'm on the same page. Yes, he's a good-looking guy. I like him.
The Cliff
My
Kingsbury of
apologies.
actors.
I just didn't know you had a pet name for him.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, of course I do.
Baby Goose.
kind of like old Gordy.
Yeah, that's right.
Gordy.
I call him Gordy. You guys have to call him Gordon, but I get to call him
Yeah,
Gordy.
I can call him Gordy.
I was gonna say you start giving him shit for giving somebody a pet name after you had just done it.
Yeah, I
Literally
forgot
three
about-
picks ago.
I'd have forgot about that already.
I'm totally here for more pet names for these picks. By the way, give me some more of them. Brian, you're up for your third pick.
Okay, so Mahomes was new to my heart. Now I got to go take it all the way back. Take it back to when I was a kid. Ever since then, he has his own song written about being like him, and that's Michael Jordan.
Yep.
Everyone grew up watching Michael Jordan, wanted to be Michael Jordan. And till to this day, people pay $200+ for shoes that are sold by Michael Jordan that have his logo on it. I mean, the man's a legend. He always will be. Maybe he was an asshole, and Rance hates him.
I don't hate him. No, don't put.
He's just not a
words in
good
my
hang.
mouth. He's just wouldn't be a good friend, and I think you know that.
I don't know that. And you took
How do you not know that?
you took Ray Donovan with your
Think
number
you know
one man
that.
crush. That guy's not a good friend either.
No, he's not. You're right. But
But
you could not.
you wanna talk
befriend
about-
MJ in
You want to talk
quarantine.
about living the life. MJ, all he does now is just play golf, drink beer, or drink whiskey, and smoke cigars. I mean, that's all he does
Cigars are extraordinarily long too.
on his humongous yacht.
Pretty solid.
I mean, MJ's got the life, so I'll gladly take him with my number 3 man crush.
Well, he was not on my draft board, so
What?
No, me neither.
he's out.
Nope,
That's
not
foolish.
of mine.
Go with my
Could have
third
in the fourth
pick.
round.
We've mentioned him a couple times in this podcast already. I think I've picked him in a couple different drafts, but Chris Pratt is coming to my man crush draft board. He's just, like I said, kind of on the same boat as Ryan Reynolds. He's like junior varsity Ryan Reynolds. Does that make any sense?
I think that's fair.
Diet Ryan Reynolds.
Yep.
But super charismatic, just endless well of funniness, and he actually does like manly things, like he farms and takes care of the ranch and stuff. So I think he's a dream in my book.
Real dreamboat.
Real dreamboat.
I saw this pick coming. You should have taken him instead of JT, but I'm not butthurt by that at all.
For my fourth pick, I got a pick from the heart again, and this one's probably maybe on one other person's draft boards, but kind of a outside the box pick as well. Also very, very funny, endless well of funniness, and he's not necessarily a sex symbol, but Jason Mantzoukas is coming to my man crush list.
Oh, beautiful! That should have been on my list. That's
if we're talking about simping for someone, I will watch anything that he does. He has been the best part of so many bad things, so many bad movies where he's just like a caricature, just like Rafi from The League. The best part of The League is Rafi.
Yes.
It's a great show, and he just stood out from the whole crowd. He was so good. So Jason Mantzoukas coming to my team, rounding out my roster.
He's amazing in the movie The Dictator. I was shocked about how much he's in that movie too. He's basically the number 3 person in it.
Yep. Behind
So
Sasha and Anna Faris.
Then, yeah.
It's old Zooks.
All right. I got a lot of guys left on my board.
Go to Brian.
Back to me, huh?
Don't take one.
God. I'm down to 2 I'm back and forth with. And I want to give a shout out to the guy I'm not going to take because I don't think anybody else will take him. And I'm going to say his career was cut short, but he had a very good shot to be in this number 4 spot. R.I.P. Paul Walker.
Ooh.
You dreamy bastard.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
you were taken from us too soon.
Super dreamy.
Fast and Furious movie should have stayed with him for years. And he's probably that 4th pick, but I'm just going to say shout out to him, and I'm going to stick to my board. Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
He's got the accent. He's got the sex appeal. He's got it all. I will say the only thing that I've been annoyed with him this quarantine is he was one of the first big names that got COVID, right? So they're interviewing him. He's doing videos on Twitter and stuff. And his girlfriend or wife, whatever she is, just kind of creepily stands there while he's doing his videos. She just looks like halfway like scared, confused. She never says anything. She just stands there right by him.
There
And
for
he's
moral
still-
support.
Planting her flag is what she's doing.
Either that or just extremely
right.
bored. But
That could also be it.
Yeah, he's good. And he was so
Yeah, he
funny, too, in that little part on The Office.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
this
Charles
dry-
Minor.
Yeah, I thought he was hilarious.
He was great. Yep. Also
Hell
very,
yeah.
My next-
very good in Hobbs and Shaw. Black
I mean,
Superman.
him as
He was.
the next Bond makes too much sense not to make it happen. I mean,
Yeah,
my
It
God.
does, yeah.
Didn't they already
I
announce that
agree.
he wasn't, though?
I don't
I
know.
thought he
they announced
was.
him. I don't know.
He's not
He
gonna
should
be?
He absolutely should be. Either him or Statham. I could get on board with Statham in that role too, but maybe he's not classy enough. Maybe.
Statham ain't good enough to be Bond.
He's not as smooth as Idris
Yeah,
Elba.
he just 100% is. Yep. Back to Kitty.
I'm gonna try to steal a vote from somebody. I'm not sure if she ever votes, but I'm taking George Clooney. Trying to get a vote from Rance's wife.
He's washed. Nobody wants to be Clooney. He's finished.
George Clooney's amazing. I don't know what you're talking about. Have you seen this guy?
strategy though. The
gamesmanship is
next
Jesus.
He's amazing. I don't know what you when you're trying to cancel him like earlier drafts we had a couple months ago. Canceling Clooney. I'm not sure what you're. I don't know. I don't know what you're thinking. That guy's every movie he's in, he's amazing. Every single Coen brothers he does, or Brother Arthur is one of the best performances of any
Very
actor.
good.
That's just fantastic.
Let
Can't
I
get
hope-
enough.
I only
And
dream
he's a
that Kitty would have taken Eric Church in the first round
Yep,
and
that's-
George Clooney in the 4th round just for a vote.
bookend it with Kelsey vote. He could have taken
She
like
would have voted
Hitler in the
multiple
second.
times. Multiple times if she could have.
That would have
I
been
just
glorious.
love Clooney. I think he's, and then he's humanitarian. He's a director, actor, does it all. He's at Prankston with him and Damon doing all those pranks together. Just good times.
Just one
Like it.
just guys
Love me
being
some
dudes.
Love me some Clune Dog.
Coon dog. Another pet
That's
name.
what I call him.
Just crushing it. Yeah, we're killing the pet name department tonight. Rance is going to bring us home with this final pick.
I've drafted a couple badasses and Gordy and Liev Schreiber and Ray Donovan, so I'm going to scale it back a little bit. Somebody down to earth, nice guy, old Krasinski, John Krasinski.
Ooh.
Oh, there you go.
He can produce. He did the Quiet Place. Great acting in The Office as Jim, funny. Jack Ryan's been one of my favorite shows going over the past couple seasons. Did the Good News Club. I mean, just an all-around seems like a real nice guy. So.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes from comedy to straight to action hero. It's pretty impressive.
Yep.
Yep.
He's
Turn
done
right there.
thriller or
Nice
horror with The
range.
Quiet Place.
Yep.
Yep.
That's right.
That's what he's doing.
He wrote, directed, produced, and acted in The Quiet Place, right?
Did it all. Yeah.
That's
He did all. I
wild.
didn't realize he did all that.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Is there 2 of those now?
Yeah.
Yep, I haven't
They're
seen
making
the
a second one. Yeah.
I don't know if the second
It's already
one's
out?
even out
It's
yet,
out.
is it?
It's out, yeah.
It is.
It came
Okay.
out in theaters right before the quarantine, and it should be on VOD now.
It's tough timing.
Got it.
If it might be on Amazon Prime to just watch for free. I'm not 100% sure about that. But old Cillian Murphy from Peaky Blinders is in the second one.
Nice.
Very good.
My draft board is
Krasinski,
so
good
full
pick.
of great names, though.
Clooney
So many
and-
names just sitting there.
Clooney and Krasinski. They were in a movie together called Leatherheads. It was
Oh,
terrible.
Leatherheads. Yeah, no one saw that one.
Really bad.
Along with 10 other movies Clooney's done that nobody saw.
Here
Wow,
we go
that
again.
is ridiculous. No one
Oh,
ever
boy.
saw it. I don't know what you're talking about. Everyone sees his movies. He's just a hit maker.
Can't wait for your wife to barge in the door and be like, "Are you shit talking George Clooney again?"
I wish you'd
told you
go
not to
look
do
up
that."
some of Clooney's movies on Rotten Tomatoes and look at some of these despicable reviews that guy's got.
You can legitimately do that with every actor ever made.
This doesn't concern you. This is between me and Kitty.
Well, let's.
All I
let's
need
move-
is or Brother Art, though. That's all you need anyway.
Let's
So it
go.
doesn't matter.
It's very good. Let's move on to the waiver watch for the week. Let's start off with, since you're so fired up here, let's start with Rance. Rance, what was your waiver watch this week?
I'm going back to another asshole here, and I watched the stand-up special called Intolerant with Jim Jeffries.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Had a lot of good laughs on that. Talks about millennials, how they're a waste. He talks about people that are lactose intolerant, which you should check it out, Josh. He says he is. Jim Jeffries is lactose intolerant too. Now relax.
Watch your ass, Jim Jeffries.
Okay. He tells a nice 10 to 15 minute about poop. I mean, you guys are going to enjoy that.
I'm basically Jeff Jimries.
So it was very funny. A little over an hour, a lot of good laughs, ripping on everybody. It's pretty good. I like
Usually
it.
The Netflix.
Yep. Short
Usually
watch.
does not disappoint. Usually his hour specials are usually so polished.
His gun control bit was one of the
Oh,
best things I've ever heard.
Really good. Yep.
That was amazing.
One of the better ones running right now that seems to never get any kind of attention when you talk about like the best stand-ups running.
I agree
Right.
with that.
Really good. He rarely misses. Let's go to Kitty. Kitty, what do you got?
All right. Do you want me to talk about the good movie I saw or the terrible movie I saw?
Let's go terrible.
All right. I watched Money Plane. Not sure if anyone's heard of this.
What?
It stars the I think it's the Edge, the wrestler,
Oh yeah.
long blondish hair.
How do you
So he
even
is
find this?
This was Danger Guerrero, aka Brian Grubb
Oh,
on
no.
Up Rocks. He finds all these trash movies like this, or like Hurricane Heist, Money Plane, this newest one. It's got Kelsey Grammer in it, which he's also in
Seems to be a
Grand Isle.
running
Kelsey
theme,
Grammer
yeah.
can't stop. Kelsey Grammer can't stop working right now. He's just making all these
That guy's hit rock bottom.
all these. I mean, you must be offer only. You want to do this? Yes.
Yeah. Is it straight
And-
to DVD? Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know what this was on Plex. And
Straight to obscene or unknown streaming service.
unknown
Sign me
streaming,
up.
yeah.
Sounds great.
So Kelsey Grammer hires the Edge and his team of cohorts to take down this money plane, which is basically just all these terrible, terrible people that have a bunch of money, and they go get on an airplane, and then once they get up to 30,000 feet, they just gamble on crazy shit constantly. So there's just a bunch of money on the plane. So Kelsey Grammer wants them to rob it and then parachute off the plane with all the money.
Wow.
And steal some Bitcoin also. It's just an amazing. And then they they have the wrestler, the Edge, on. He sits in the cockpit half the movie.
Sure.
This is this guy's role. He's got a WWE wrestler, and
He's
he
got
just
show
sits in a
range.
chair for half the movie. It is ridiculous.
Did he do any of his signature wrestling moves in the movie?
No, one of his fights was inside the cockpit, so there's no room to do anything. It's just bizarre. But then all three Lawrence brothers are in it, so that's a real big win for all the viewers.
Joey Lawrence?
Joey, Matthew,
Matt,
and Andy.
Andy. Wow.
Yeah.
So this is
What
like
a sitcom that was
are they-
when those
yeah.
three were together.
It's impressive they all had time.
What was that show called?
Brothers.
I know what you're talking about, but I
think
remember
it's just
watching
called
it.
Brothers.
Was it just called Brothers? All right.
I don't know.
Could have been. No, I mean, yeah, I remember they worked in an auto body shop or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
They live in an apartment above it or something.
Okay, yeah, great stuff. So yeah, it's not a good movie.
The Lawrence brothers.
Like Grand
Sounds like
Isle.
a great cast.
Grand Isle was better as far as just Nick Cage in it, so it's gonna be better. But just the ridiculous bad, it got good. This one almost is just bad and stayed bad.
See, I wonder if it was. I mean, if all three Lawrence brothers are in it, it seems pretty shticky. So, is it like a Sharknado type of thing?
It's got that feel to it, but I don't think they thought they were making a bad movie.
Not that cheeky.
I feel like people in Sharknado knew this is not very good.
Yeah.
I really think. Oh yeah, I also forgot Denise Richards is in it.
Okay.
So that's
all right. There's Tara Reid.
And one good actor. Kelsey Grammer, one good actor. Second good actor, Thomas Jane is in it, aka Punisher.
aka Mickey Mantle. Was he Roger Maris?
He was Mantle. Barry Pepper was Roger Maris.
Yeah, Barry Pepper, who looks a lot like Maris.
Right. So Thomas Jane's in it and Kelsey Grammer. So you got some really two good actors.
Do you guys want to know what it had on Rotten Tomatoes, or anybody care?
15.
I bet it's 12%.
Actually, it's 27%.
We can't do this very much because I'm going to bring it up in our Shenanigans as if it comes up, but I do enjoy taking trips down that. If you're looking something up, you need to let me know what that show was that the Lawrence brothers were in. Blossom 3.
And just to give the good thing I watched this week a shout out, watch Palm Springs with Andy Samberg.
You son of a bitch. That's what I was going to do. I watched Palm Springs.
Well, it's good. That's fine.
It was very good. It was a romantic comedy from the guys from Lonely Island, and it is just that. I mean, if you've seen like Hot Rod, kind of.
I watched that this week too.
Yeah, very good. Andy Samberg is in it. I don't know what the main girl's name is.
Kristen Milioti.
Milioti. Okay, she was in Black Mirror. That's what I know her from. But a great date night movie. It's like Sandberg stuck in like a Groundhog Day time loop situation. And then she kind of follows him into it, and she gets drug into the situation, and they kind of try to find their way out or just try to figure out how to cope. But it was really, really funny. So it was kind of we've seen the premise before, but it was done originally and really, really funny in the process. So I'd highly recommend Palm Springs for sure.
Yeah, it's hard. It's one of those ones you can't talk too much about because you don't want to give anything away type of movie. So
there's like 2, 3, 4 good twists in it.
All the minor characters were hilarious.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons also really, really good in it too.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah,
Brotherly love.
That's it.
Brotherly love.
I
assume they probably worked in Philadelphia too. Then.
So
that sounds vaguely familiar. Brian, you're always the most worked up about your waiver watch, so I'm going to have you bring
Yeah,
us
usually the
home.
most serious, so
Yeah.
probably good to put them last.
You're either going to have some documentary or some trash TV. You kind of run opposite ends of the
It's
spectrum
really-
on that.
Yeah, I just want to do a follow-up because I did finish Outcry. I went back and you can stream it, all 5 episodes.
Don't
may be
divulge too much, please.
it may be recency bias, but I think it's my favorite crime doc I've ever watched.
Wow.
Shorter than you really want it to be. You want there to be more episodes. You want to know more information. You want like follow-up questions on things. But for what they gave you, they left you wanting a lot more as far as the story and explanations and things like that go. It's incredibly infuriating, once again, on all these crime doc shows, how the justice system is just so screwed up all the way around. And you do get an outcome at the end, so you do know what happens. They don't leave you hanging after all this time you put into it. You do know what happens at the end. I don't want to spoil it. It's already happened, so you can look it up if you want to. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but I just thought it was so good. So my wife and I both just enjoyed the hell out of all 5 episodes and recommend it to everybody. It's on Showtime. I know not everybody has Showtime, but if you got a friend, maybe got some logins or something like that, you can knock it out pretty easily in a weekend, 5 hours. So pretty easy to knock out, and it's well worth your time.
It was on the Amazon Prime banner, and I mean, they only save that for prime things. So
Nice.
All right.
I might have
Do
to
it.
make up an email to get a free trial to knock it out one of these days.
There you go.
Get that AOL account still booming. Still
That's
kicking out
right.
there.
Well, that'll do it for the Clearing Waivers podcast this week. You can join us on all the social media platforms. Find us at Clearing Waivers on most of those. A reminder that you're probably watching this during our live premieres on Wednesday nights, usually around 7:30. You can either find it on our socials or at the Kansas City Podcast Network socials at KCP Network. Yeah, give us a good review, subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll see you out there. I do want to thank Craig Stout once again. Go check his stuff out again as well. But one more time, thank you for joining us for another week. Ta-ta for now.
The day is done. Now the night has begun. Nerves in a restless crowd. The burning sun. Now nowhere to be found. Deep underground. 'Cause I have faith that nobody else can protect you, no. A page is burning, we'll all be dead under virgin snow. I have faith that nobody else can protect you, no. A page is burning, we'll all be dead under virgin snow. So hold your body close to the flames. Don't go so haughty, walking away. Hold your body close to the flames. Don't go to the flame.